Welcome to a Redvee TV special supported by Chapel House Cars for the 2025 season. And we are delighted to be joined this Good Friday Derby week by the one and only Lachlan Coote. 66 appearances, 34 tries, 284 goals, one drop goal, 705 total points, three grand final wins, one Challenge Cup, one League Leaders Shield, and a trophy every 13.2 games on average for St Helens.
What an introduction. Awesome. Thanks for having me. And I appreciate you having me on. And good sponsor you got there, Chapel House.
Lachlan, how are you these days? What are you up to? For those who don't know what you're up to since you retired back in Australia.
Yeah, so getting into, I thought I was going to go into a little bit of the coaching stuff, but seeing as I moved the family around a fair bit during my playing days, I thought I would sit back and relax and try and get a job in a town where I could stay in a town. So at the moment, I've jumped into real estate as a sales agent at Northern Realty. So jumped on board with a local fella who's been around the game for 10 years and yeah, haven't looked back. It's been awesome, been challenging as well. And like rugby league, it's a really competitive environment at the moment. Listings are very short, and there's a whole lot of agents in Townsville at the moment.
So, as we pointed out earlier in the season, you're the reason people are moving home this season.
Yeah, that was good. I love that.
Um,
Yeah, jumped on that, and I should use it as a bit of a marketing plea, I think. So,
that's your radio jingle sorted. Um,
yeah, yeah.
Lachlan, can you tell us how your move to Saints came about, and what your thoughts were when you were first offered the move to Super League?
Yeah, so obviously at the time, pretty gutted how things ended at the Cowboys, and obviously in the NRL, it's a big change. Obviously coming over the other side of the world. So at the time, I was probably a bit hesitant to make that decision to move the family across the other side of the world. But obviously, I can say now that what an unreal move and something that I never regretted since being there from day one. So yeah, I things weren't going well at Cowboys. I probably wasn't playing the best footy. I had a few injuries as well, and St Helens come to the table with a 3-year deal, and like I said there, I was a bit hesitant to take it and move the family only because of the family conditions situation. But I knew it was a great club, and I knew I was coming to a well supported club as well. So yeah, I sort of jumped at the opportunity to come across there and see what it was like in the Super League.
Yeah, when you made your competitive debut in the Redvee, you made it against Wigan. Did you know much about that Saints Wigan rivalry before you signed, or was it similar to most of our overseas signings, where you get stopped in the street and get told just beat Wigan?
That was it. Yeah, pretty much the same thing as you just said. Then I didn't realise how big it was over there, and also just how big the derbies are in general in England. So awesome atmosphere that you guys create over there, and it's definitely something that I miss. But yeah, since moving there, it was all getting stopped in the streets and guys. The only team you have to beat is Wigan, and that's what it was all about. So I knew it was after hearing that, I knew it was a really big game to be a part of. So.
Yeah, that your debut as well. Had you experienced an atmosphere like that before then over in Australia compared to obviously coming over here and getting a derby as your first game?
Never, never had anything like that, and I don't think being over here will ever experience the English way of how they approach games and how they get behind their players, sing between crowds. Like it's just an unbelievable atmosphere, and just talking about it now gives me goosebumps. It was such a special moment and memories to have.
We're building up to our traditional Good Friday clash against Wigan this Friday. And amazingly, due to the lockdowns, you actually only played in one Good Friday game. but it was certainly a momentous one, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it was. That was. Yeah, everyone talked about the Good Friday matches. Obviously, when the sun comes out, the English people change as well. So that was always good to see the excitement around it. But yeah, that Good Friday game at Wigan's home ground was an unbelievable atmosphere, and what a game to remember as well.
Yeah, from a fan's point of view, we were expecting to go there that year and beat them pretty easily, uh, and the team certainly showed up on the day.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was tough at the start from memory. I think yeah, both teams going at it hard, but then yeah, it sort of blew out towards the end from memory. But yeah, just a unbelievable atmosphere. I love playing. Like you always wanted to play night footy as a young fella, but obviously you play night footy all the time, so you're used to it. And those day games are really special, especially when everyone can make it. Good Friday as well. No one's working. All they want to do is rock up and watch some footy. So great to be able to have the Saints fans get on top that one at Wigan's home ground.
Now, just before you've joined us for this interview, we've put out on our social media asking for fans' favourite Good Friday wins or performances or atmospheres at Wigan away. And I'm glad to say that every single response has come back, and they've literally called it the Lachlan Coote game in 2019. That is what it is now known as.
Oh,
And
that's
there
special.
was good videos of you stood in front of the North Stand at Wigan being serenaded afterwards.
Yeah,
Now that song after the game, when you stood there alone and you've got 4,500 Saints fans serenading it, that must have felt really good on a personal level.
it was. It was almost setting the moment of like I've definitely made the right decision in coming to this place. They made me feel welcome. They made me have a sense of belonging, which is really special. And when you, as a player, if you can create that feeling in that culture, then you're going to perform well no matter what happens. So yeah, they really made it a special moment for me. Thinking that my career had sort of had come to an end at Cowboys, and I was almost contemplating retiring. And once you know that once I was performing there and playing well, and the crowd responded to me, they accept me as their own. That was really, it made me feel like, yes, I was definitely made the right decision in coming to this club.
What made that team so special, Lachlan? We'd gone close to getting to the grand final the year before and just missed out in the playoffs. But but what was it about that team that meant that we got over the line and started that dynasty?
I think obviously the adversity they faced the year before, thinking they were a quality side and they probably should have went through and won the grand final, and I think that definitely had lit the fire in the belly for the boys that I joined. Um, and like I didn't do too much. Yes, I was playing some quality footy, but it was due to the players that were around me. They just had something inside of them that they wanted to win. They had that burning desire, and I knew that being a part of that squad, I had to step my game up as well. Even just doing that preseason was really tough. There was front rowers that were fitter than me in some of the fitness drills and stuff like that, and I was like, holy shit, what do I come to here? Like this is good, but this is tough. So it really opened my eyes to make me realise, like, being around James Roby as well. He made me a better player. Never whinged, never carried on. He just stuck into the hard work, and I think that's what the team was based around from his leadership. You had to step up, or you were out. And most of that squad stepped up. That preseason set us up for a good year, and led by James Roby.
Excellent. Just want to move away from Saints just for a brief moment. at the end of that season, you were picked for the Great Britain tour of the Southern Hemisphere. You're very proud of your Scottish heritage and you represented Scotland on the international stage. But what did it mean to you being picked on that Great Britain tour?
Yeah, it was very special. Being recognised for, the quality players that play in Super League and are a part of that Great Britain team, to be recognised as just, to be selected in that squad is always something that was, you get a sense of belief that, you are cut out for that representative football. And to be able to sort of represent my family was very special. Was very special as well, and something that I never ever would have thought of doing from when I, was born here in Australia and growing up around the NRL. I never would have thought that I would have put a Great Britain jersey on, but I'm so happy that I got the opportunity to do that because it was a really special moment.
Excellent. There's an Ashes series over here at the end of the season. How has that been received over in Australia? Are you going to try and head over for it, or are you going to just catch it on TV?
Yeah, I'll probably just catch it on TV. It's hard to get a break in the real estate game, but but yeah, I would. Definitely watching it. But I think it's great. The Ashes series and stuff. It's something that we need to get on board with in terms of bringing the NRL and the Super League, bringing our games together and making sure that we're growing the game together and not, we shouldn't be fighting against each other or anything like that. It should be we're one game, we're one unit, one big community that needs to build this game because it is a special game and it deserves a lot more. Sitting there watching a 90-minute game of soccer is a lot boring than watching a rugby league game. Sorry to you English guys.
Listen, that's fine. You're allowed your opinion, Lachlan. Last one on this one. You talk about unity. Would you have liked to have seen Great Britain in the Ashes rather than England being represented?
Yeah, that's a good question. Either or. I think the Great Britain has, it's got a great history, and it probably would be good to see the Great Britain going around and versing the Australians, because when I was a part of it, they showed some old footage and stuff like that, and it was spine tingling stuff to see all those old school games and the history around and the competitive games that they had. So, the rivalries that they had between the front rowers and stuff like that, and different types of players. So, I think bringing that sort of back would be good. I think.
So back to Saints and Super League. 2020, a very different season due to lockdowns and obviously the fans not being allowed into the stadiums. How was it for you and the family being over here in England during the pandemic with the lockdowns and being away from all your family and things in Australia?
Yeah, knowing that it wasn't too hectic in Australia and they were sort of, especially here in Townsville, I don't think they had any sort of lockdown. So knowing that they were sort of free to roam around everywhere and live life as normal was tough seeing that, especially with all the social media. You see all that side of things. So we were locked down. I think we had, how many was it? 4 different lockdowns or something like that from memory, which was pretty crazy. But I guess, it wasn't easy. But you sort of just crack on and do what you need to do with the family, and I guess you sort of look at it as a positive. Like we were sort of homeschooling the kids, which was pretty cool. I got to spend a lot of time with the family. We definitely we had our moments because we were spending so much time together, and I think everyone did in their families. So, but then you got to see other sides of each other that we hadn't experienced before, and I think just taking a whole lot of positives out of that and what happened around that in COVID. And I know it was devastating for some due to the mental health side of things and people struggling with that, who didn't have that support. But yeah, it was definitely a difficult time for some. But yeah, tried to take the positives out of it.
Excellent. Prior to that season starting as well, the club had changed head coach. Justin Holbrook departed. Christian Wolf came in. What differences were there between those two coaches? Like, it can be anything, personality, it can be training, it can be on-field tactics. What did you find the differences, if any, to be?
Yeah, there was. Oh, everyone's got their own character and what they bring, but I think Justin was a bit more sort of outgoing, buzzing sort of guy and everything like that. And Wolfie was sort of like the laid back sort of guy. And, probably he came across a little bit serious and probably looked it serious, but, he was never that sort of guy. When you actually got to know him, he was a really good fellow to sort of be around and talk with. So I responded to both coaches. They were both great for me, and obviously the club and the players as well. So really take my hat off to both of them. Like even just having conversations with them as a player coach relationship was really good. They took things on board. They took advice from their players, which is hard to do with some coaches sometimes. But yeah, Wolfie and Justin, I love Justin as well. Obviously, just my first coach from after being coached by Paul Green was a massive relief being under Justin Holbrook. Just he allowed me to just play footy, so it was good being under him, and I had some really good experiences under Justin as well, and also with Wolfie as well. He come to the club and he tried to change a few things, little things, which probably didn't go too well at the start due to the fact I think we lost our first 3 out of 5 games or something like that. So I think in saying how bad COVID was, it was sort of a blessing in disguise for us in a way, that it come into play because we weren't travelling real well and things weren't going well. So
We can't talk about 2020 without talking about that grand final win over Wigan, over in Hull. Now that Tommy Makerton drop goal attempt, did you think of it? Did you think it had gone over initially before Jack Wellesby then touches down? And when he did, were you as players on the pitch confident it was a try?
yeah, to be honest, I had no idea. I was in shock at first. I thought he struck this really well. This is going over. I can't believe this. Thinking that it was going over, and then hitting the post was devastating. Like Jonathan Thurston hitting the post in 2015 grand final, was sort of like a gut wrenching feeling. But then seeing for a moment there Jack Wellesby celebrating, because I sort of didn't chase, which I probably should have, but it was good that Jack Wellesby did. And seeing them celebrating, I went and celebrated with them, but not knowing what the hell had gone on. So I was like, I'm hoping this is legit. So, but yeah, after seeing that replay and Jack Wellesby doing what he did, like, who would have thought to actually, chase that? The hood had gone, hadn't it? And he never die until the ball's out of play.
Was it strange playing playing such a high intensity game in front of an empty stadium? Now I know that obviously there's some coaching staff in the stands. Could you pretty much hear every word as you're on the field in them circumstances?
Yeah, pretty much. They did have the fake crowd noise over the speakers and stuff throughout the game, so it wasn't too obvious. I think it was more probably obvious when you're sitting on the sidelines, like if you're an interchange player or one of the staff or something, you would have definitely heard a lot of the language and stuff. And I think even on actual TV games, you could probably hear people, saying some bad language and stuff. So, but yeah, when you're in the heat of that moment, and in particular that game itself was a high intensity game, you weren't too focused on anything other than trying to do your job and not make a mistake, I guess, because any mistake probably led to someone losing. So yeah, still very thankful for Jack Wellsby chasing that ball to get that win, because that was a really tough grand final.
What were the celebrations like after it? Because obviously we were still in that kind of weird lockdowny-ish mode where people couldn't really congregate, but we're past that now. What were the celebrations like?
um, there was three in a row, so they sort of blend into one. I'm not quite sure what we did after. We obviously
Back to
travelled.
the
I think we travelled straight back,
yeah,
and then we were up in the grandstands at Saints. I think at Totally Wicked, and we sort of just stuck to ourselves there and done our own thing and had a bit of a catch up there. So yeah, no one sort of ventured out. I think we just stayed there till all hours in the morning, and then we were back home. But yeah, a bit of partying back at Totally Wicked, I think.
nothing with that. You've just briefly mentioned it, the 2015 grand final that was won in Golden Point. I think you were also hanging about at the back, a possible contender to set the drop goal. Jonathan Thurston's on the part though, so he's obviously going to be clutch for it. But how did that 2020 grand final compare emotionally to that 2015 grand final? I'd imagine very comparable.
Yeah,
A very similar feeling.
very. I think just the way like people's like body language was just like everyone was out on their feet, trying to do what they could to try and make sure nothing bad happened or someone didn't miss a tackle or anything like that. Making sure we're getting the ball in the full, kick returning. I just remember in both grand finals, the energy level was absolutely spent. Like cramping up, everything was going on. Like you couldn't do too much. I know in the 2015 grand final, Broncos were trying to kick it out each time. I was sort of standing on the sideline to try and stop the ball from going out and things like that. No one had any energy to try and do anything. And I think that's probably why in the Wigan game it was such a low scoring game, because, both teams were out on their feet trying to do what they can just to hang in there to win the game. So, but yeah, very similar, and both had crazy finishes. So yeah, awesome. And they're the games that you want to be a part of. They're the special ones that you really remember, when both teams are out on their feet and it's a close game. I just think in that 2020 grand final, I just wish that it was a packed house and we were at Manchester. I've forgotten the stadium, man. Old Trafford.
Yeah.
Imagine that game in Old Trafford with a finish the way it did. How nuts that atmosphere would have been. And it's gutted that, not gutted, well, obviously we won, but the fans, they weren't there experiencing it with us.
I think Old Trafford would have crumbled down with all the Saints fans that had have happened.
Maybe.
And yeah, it must be so good to have been part of both of those grand finals, to be fair, the 2015 and 2020. We'll move into 2021, your final year at the club, and you added a Challenge Cup win to your trophy haul. Now, we hear from our Aussie friends that they love the Challenge Cup, they love the history behind it. How special was it to play at Wembley and lift it, especially after we'd gone there in 2019 and hadn't really performed to the levels that we could?
Yeah, well, in 19, I hated the Challenge Cup, obviously due to the loss, and I probably played it down a little bit due to the fact that because we did lose, and I was like, oh, it's not even. You play a few games to get there, and that's it, and played it down a little bit, but after winning it, it was a total different feeling, obviously. But yeah, I get it. It's a challenge, Challenge Cup. You gotta be up for the game, and like in 19, like we we were the red hot favourites, and we just didn't show up on the day, just probably because of the occasion. We got caught up in the occasion instead of, doing our jobs, and that's what it creates. Like that occasion, you need to show up. You need to show up to play, and put the occasion aside for the moment. Enjoy it, embrace it all, and you want to take it all in, but you really need to go there and focus on your job and what has got you there, and that's what we didn't do in 19. But yeah, in 21, unbelievable, awesome to be a part of it, and awesome to get that Challenge Cup. Obviously, COVID was a little bit around, so we didn't get to do the full ceremony sort of celebrations at the end. But still a great feeling to go down there to Wembley. What an unbelievable stadium. And yeah, to lift that trophy was a special feeling as well.
Finally, we move to our third grand final win, our win over the Catalan Dragons. Now, it's fair to say our fan base rate you as one of our best overseas imports in the Super League era. It really was the perfect way for you to sign off from your time at the Saints, wasn't it?
It was very, obviously very sad to leave the club and what we had created. But like, again, when teams win grand finals back to back, you can see it with Panthers at the moment. They get torn apart with obviously people leaving, things happen, stuff like that. And young Jack Bosby at the time was coming through and killing it. So you want to hang on to your local players that you're born and bred pretty much. So I understood it all. When you get to an age, it becomes a business more than anything like that. So yeah, I understood. It was devastating that I had to leave. I knew that I still had some good footy in me to go, but leaving was very tough to after what we created there, and then moving on was very hard to leave. One of the hardest things I've had to do. So, and decisions to make. But yeah, no better way to leave the club with a third grand final. And what a way to sort of wrap things up against Catalan. Another tough grand final, but yeah, obviously coming out on top, which was a really special feeling.
Just to touch on it, obviously you left Saints and you moved to Hull KR. Obviously they've got a big derby coming up against Hull FC this week. You moved from one great fan base at St Helens to another up in East Hull, didn't you?
Yeah, and didn't change colours really, red and white. But yeah, went to another special group, and I think just the English culture, I think, in the rugby league community is very special on what you guys have got, and it's very underrated, the Super League. And I said it from the day one that I got there, it deserves a lot more credit than what it gets, and a lot more funding, sponsorship, all that kind of things within the game. I think what you guys do over there is unbelievable, and we can't even compete over here with a 50,000 fan base crowd in the stadiums. Like you get 10 over there and it feels like 50,000. So going to Hull KR was another special feeling. They had a great fan base. They were very passionate. Same style, singing, carrying on, making songs up. Very special atmosphere that I wish that I still could have been a part of. And it was a great. They got something good over there as well with the derby games as well. Also similar to Wigan and Saints. So being the only the teams over there is really special also. So yeah, they've got something good over there, and it's just showed now that they're going really well and they're starting to build, which, like, again, that club really deserves what they're getting at the moment because, they're very loyal. Some of the history that I learnt that they did to try and stay in the Super League and to get back in the Super League, the fans got behind and supported or funded the club, which was really good to see. So what they've been through is a really great story, and things are paying off for them now, which is great.
Excellent. What was your favourite grand final success of the three? If you had to pick one, which one would you go for? It's like choosing between your kids.
Between the three, you said, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would have to go to the first one in 19. First time at Old Trafford, very special feeling, but also just all the adversity that I had sort of got through to get to there. Obviously, coming to a great team, them making me better, having a great coach as well. All that stuff happened in, at the end of 18, thinking that, I was at the end of my career. My rugby league career has come to an end professionally. I could have went and paid amateur and stuff like that, but all those feelings came flying back when when we won the grand final in 19. Was, I'm not done. What I've done here is very special, and built a lot of confidence from, and what I was part of had been really special. And I felt that at the start, going to Saints, still in the preseason, like I mentioned earlier, that I was part of something special, and it was such a massive relief in winning that grand final to prove to myself, because I had a lot of self-doubt finishing in 2018, and then to prove to myself that I wasn't done yet. I still had a lot of fight in me, and to go on and win a grand final with a really special group was something which had to be the best.
Excellent. And finally, just to wrap up, have you got a message for the Saints fans who supported you so vocally during your 3 years at the club?
No, I just want to, I've said it many times, but I want to thank you all for making me feel like a rock star. Obviously, very, very special moment. And I mentioned it before, when you feel like you belong somewhere, I only felt it was the right thing to do, to make sure that every day I was showing up for the fans, and making sure that every game that I ran out in front of, I was at my best. So they created that for me, and I want to thank them very much.
Well, Lachlan, it's been an absolute pleasure. Best wishes from everyone here in St Helens to both yourself and your family. You are obviously aware that you are always welcome back in this town, and I don't think you'll ever have to buy a drink when you do. Me and Kev have been lucky enough to interview another North Queensland cowboy in Jonathan Thurston.
Oh, no.
I have to say, you are most definitely our favourite cowboy.
Hopefully Kyle Felt makes an impact enough to
Yes, let's hope so.
to
Right.
be another special cowboy. And the last time a cowboy came to St Helens, he's won a grand final. So hopefully that happens again for you guys, and I appreciate you having me on. Very special going down memory lane. So thanks for that.
Thank you very much. Right, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we will carry on Redvee TV in the next episode. Catch you soon.